Over the next few weeks, I want to talk about leading in your personal life and leading at home. What does that look like? We talk about leadership, and mostly as it relates to your business, your career. How do you be a better leader, leading your teams at work, and how do you lead your departments or your businesses and help you to be a better manager? Well, I want to spend the next few episodes talking about your family. How do you lead your family? How do you lead your kids? And if you're married, and relationships. And so we're going to talk really about at the home dynamics when it comes to leadership. So today, for this episode to start, I want to talk specifically about just leading your family in general. And I'm going to talk to you we're going to hit a number of different lessons of what we can learn in how to lead your family well. So number one lesson is to leave the office on time. Now, if you are a career person and you have an 8-to-5 job, 9-to-5 job, whatever that is, I have to admit, I don't have necessarily, I can have different hours daily. My job is a little different, but it's important that you leave the office on time. And for me, I've struggled with this sometimes. There's been periods in my life where I just, work has just overtaken me, and I've just not been very well at leaving the office on time. And as I said, it's a little harder for me. My work hours are, not quite traditional, but there has to say that there have been too many times when I have said that I'm going to be home at, say, 5 o'clock, and I leave the office at 5:15 or 5:30. And what this does is it signifies to your family that they don't matter. But most often, that's not true. Your family does matter to you. But that's the message that they get when you're constantly late, constantly at the office later than you said you were going to be. Like myself, hey, there are days and weeks that are busier than others, and I have to put more hours in the office. But what you need to do is to communicate that with your family. Hey, for us, I pastor a church. I say, hey, when, the fall time and Easter and Christmas, there's certain times that are really busy, and, sit down with the family. Hey, this week, these couple weeks are going to be really busy for me. I'm going to be spending a little bit more time, than I usually do at the office. I might have to go in some evenings, but I communicate with my family like, hey, these next couple weeks, they're going to be really busy. Okay, and then we try to plan something either before or after this busy time to do together as a family. But you just can't go into a busy time and just constantly be late, constantly going in the evenings or on your day off and not communicate with your family, because your family might not know when your busy time is. They might not know exactly that you have a project deadline, and so you just need to communicate that. Second lesson is to lead your family effectively. You need to carve out time for your family each week. I mean, we plan for everything else in our lives, right? We plan for our business meetings, for our doctor's appointments, for dinner reservations. We go to sporting events and all these different things that we plan, make reservations for. And you put all these things on your calendar. Well, you need to put your family time on your calendar. Hey, this is what we're doing. This is where we're going. This is, and stop saying that you have to get just one more thing done. I have one more thing. I have one more thing. That's what your kids are going to remember. And so plan your week with specific ending times and stick to them. If you're going to lead your family effectively, they need to know how important they are. And they are important. It's just sometimes we don't send that message to them by the decisions that we make. And so help them know that they are important by carving out time every single week. My wife and I do different things with our girls at different times throughout the year. We live in, central New York, and so things, in the summer times we go, we get ice cream. We'll go swimming together in the summer as a family. In the fall, we take hay rides and get hot apple cider, or, we'll take shopping trips in the winter and maybe go to the movies, or, in the spring, or planting a garden and going going to the park, or whatever your family enjoys, make sure to spend time with them every single week. This will be a great investment in your leadership, and because your family, you need to be able to lead your family well. You are going to have the most impact on anyone on this earth is going to be your family. They live with you, they see you, more than anybody, and you want to be able to say that you've led them well. Carve out time for them every week. Number 3, you have to look at and say what's important. Okay, what's important? And really, you need to be ruthless here and what's important in your life. And it might be a little strange at first, saying like, hey, I'm going to make this time, super, guarded. And you know what? And when it comes to your family, and sometimes we typically think of, hey, I need to start that over. I skipped the line, and the whole line, as everything else had to do with that first line. All right. Number 3, what's important? March to the mission that you are called to, not the mission that others want you to do for them. Okay? You need to have a mission for your family. Like, hey, this is where I want to lead them. This is who we are. This is where we're going. And be ruthless. Hey, my mission is to, spend every Saturday or every Friday, or hey, I want my mission, this is what I want my family dynamics to be. What do you want your kids to be like? They might be, young babies, toddlers right now, elementary school. What do you want them to be like in their preteens and teenage years and beyond that? What do you want them to be like as young adults, as when they're married, have families of their own, and have a mission for your family? And you need to be ruthless here and protect it. And it might feel a little strange at first having a mission when it comes to your family, and because we typically think of a mission when it comes to our business, and you can read mission statements for businesses, and all that makes sense. But what about your family? And I think if you have a mission and goals for your family, it's really going to help you lead them better and care for them better, and watch over them, and it's going to really, when you have a mission, then you make plans and decisions to help that mission come to fruition. And so it's like I said, it might sound a little strange at first, but man, when you say, hey, and think about, hey, I have a daughter, this is what she's good at, this is her personality, this is her talents, this is her weaknesses, these are her strengths, this is what I would like her to be when she's 10, when she's 15, when she's 20. And when you have that idea, then you're going to start parenting different. And we're going to get into parenting more specifically next week. But when you have a goals for each child and as a family and what you want it to look like, man, you'll make decisions differently. When you're at home, things will be different. You just, not, lay around on the couch all day, or, spend too much time at work because, hey, this mission is what my family to be, this is what I want it to look like, and you're going to invest more time and energy, and you're just going to see your family flourish. Number 4, evaluate how you do things. Okay, evaluate how you do things. If you're at work, if your work situation requires constant, excessive hours to get the job done, it's time to evaluate other ways to accomplish that task. Okay, you can't accomplish the mission of the organization single-handedly. So stop. If you find yourself, you need to evaluate your work and your job, and raising up leaders and having people around you. And if you're a business owner, that might be investing some payroll into an assistant, investing in payroll into a secretary, investing in payroll into an employee. What is that next hire that you might need to do as a business owner or a manager, a supervisor, CEO, so that you can take some things off of your plate? And this is really important. And you know what? See, I pray, God, you know what? Hey, send me some workers. I pastor a church, and Lord, we need volunteers. We need great leaders and workers and volunteers. And, we evaluate our business strategies, our products and staffing and making sure they work. Well, we need to evaluate how my job is impacting my family. We evaluate our business based upon the product or service that we're providing, but do we evaluate your business based upon how it's affecting you and your family? And this is important, or your marriage. How is your job, your hours, how it's all laid out for you? How is that impacting your family? How is that impacting your kids? Are you staying late too often, working too many weekends, or working too many days off? If so, you might need to rearrange some things in your life, or maybe put some money towards, or whatever it looks like to have someone come alongside you and take some of that work off of you. Number 5 is take advantage of mornings. What I found is families, kids are rarely up early in the morning. A couple years ago, I started taking advantage of my mornings and did it well for about a year, and then about 8 months or a year kind of, floundered a little bit. And just recently started taking advantage of my mornings again, just recently. Getting up early, getting some exercise in. For me, I read my Bible. My walk with the Lord, my faith is so important to me. I read my Bible in the morning. I go into the office early. I get so much stuff done before everyone gets here. And a few things I found about my mornings is I'm most productive before 2 p.m. Before that 2 p.m., maybe even 1 p.m., depending, I'm most productive. After that, I know I have to switch modes in the way that I work and what I try to accomplish. Kids sleep in anyways, right? They sleep in. And so take advantage, get up early. And I just read a book, and I would, really encourage you to read it. I actually listened to it on Audible, and it's called the 5 a.m. Club. And it's talking about, the power and the benefits of getting up at 5 a.m. And it does. I've been doing it, and I get so much more done, not just from 5 a.m. until 8 before 7:30, 8 before my kids get up, but I'm so much more productive the entire day. The entire day I am more productive. I'm getting more things done and accomplished. And so it's not just those few hours before your kids get up, which is good, because think about the work. Think about what you can get done between 5 and 8 o'clock. That's 3 hours. I have to go to bed earlier so I can get up earlier, but I just think about, I go to bed at 9:30. 3 hours, 9:30, 10:30, 11:30, 12:30. What I get done between 9:30 at night and 12:30 in the morning, those 3 hours, compared to what I get done at 5 a.m. to 8 a.m., it's not even close. It's not even close to how productive I am, because chances are 9:30 at night to 12:30, all I'm doing is watching TV, watching movies, scrolling on social media, getting absolutely nothing done. But man, when I get up at 5 a.m., I'm exercising, I'm growing in my faith and my spiritual walk, I'm growing as a leader and getting things done, and I can do all these things before my kids even get up. And so take advantage of your mornings, all right? Number 6, develop an activity with your family as a whole and or with individual family members. And this is really big. I think it's really important to develop activities with your family, yes, as a whole, but also individually. Every one of your kids is different, and every one of them needs different attention from you than the other. They have different personalities, they have different likes and interests, and the way that they receive love and affection from you as a parent is different. And so it's really good to have different activities set aside. It's not daily, it doesn't have to necessarily be weekly, but some kind of constant schedule where you're spending individual time with that one child in their element, in what they just love to do. Could be hiking, maybe it's a date with your spouse, or for breakfast on your day off, or coffee, or my wife and I, we often go out for breakfast on Friday mornings. It's one of it's our day off. We go off Friday mornings and have breakfast together. We have a boat, and so we like to go out onto the lake in the summers, usually once a weekend, sometimes more when it's a nice day, and really that set aside that time for our family to get together. My kids are like little fish. And so we can spend, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 hours out on the lake, and they just swim and swim. They're tubing, they're kneeboarding, and we have an absolute blast as a family. And it's just something that we've done, and we've created and carved out time that we could spend together. My girls, we play this game, maybe you've heard of it, it's called pickleball. Here where I live in central New York, in the town of Marcy, they have pickleball courts. That they just put in a couple years ago. So we go up there, we bought paddles, and I'll take, sometimes just me and my two oldest girls will go up there and play, and they absolutely love it. We have a blast. But whatever your family is interested in, do it together. Make sure you get some time. Like I said, it doesn't have to be every single day or even every single week, but get spots and times on your calendar where you're spending time together as a family. Number 7, and this is really important to me, and I believe it should be important to everyone, is to create a spiritual life. And this might be a little, out there if you're watching and you're not a follower of Christ. You've never attended church, or maybe you did, but you don't anymore, and you're not a believer. But I want you to know that creating a spiritual life for your family, it's so important. And I believe, and I have a full faith and believe that it needs to be a huge part of our lives. That I grew up going to church, my kids have grown up going to church, but it's more than attending church. It's a relationship with Jesus, and that's my goal. One of my goals for my family is that we all have deep relationships with Jesus. That's one of the goals for my kids. I want my kids, when they're grown, when they're young adults, when they're going to college, when they're raising families, that they have a deep relationship with Jesus. So the decisions that I make for their life now as kids, my oldest is 13, my youngest is 8, and the decisions that I make for them are based upon, is this going to help them in their spiritual life, grow in their walk with the Lord, and to have that deep relationship with Jesus. I believe that, part of that is attending church regularly. It's a big part of it. I believe that being a part of a local church really strengthens you in your faith, in your journey. It really binds family units together. And so, so is teaching them spiritual truths at home. We teach our kids about giving, and the importance of being generous. And we give our kids an allowance every week. And I hate to say the word allowance, it's more of, they work for it. There are jobs they have to do and have to get done. And if they do get these jobs done at the end of the week, then they're going to get a little mini paycheck. It's small, but they're going to get something every week. And I want to teach them the value of money. And that, hey, you work hard, you do this, then you will get rewarded, you'll pay. But guess what? Of that money that you get paid, you're going to be generous with it. You're just going to use it, go buy candy bars and go to the movies or whatever, just for yourself. You're going to be generous with that money, and you're going to give back. And in the context that we teach to give back to the local church. And so we have our kids give in the offering every week at church. It's a spiritual truth that we wholeheartedly believe in, and I believe it only helps them as kids, because I want them to be generous givers when they're young adults, when they're married, when they have families of their own. So for me, it's important to teach them when they're young how they treat others. This is so important for me. I want my kids to have good, healthy relationships, friendships. down the line, hopefully way down the line, relationships, romantically. But it starts now when they're young and teaching them how you treat others. Being, you're not always going to get your way. Hey, if you have a friend, they might want to do something that you're not, maybe super interested in, but they are. So you're going to have to maybe sacrifice and do something with them that you might not really enjoy. If it's by yourself, you might not do it. And learning how to treat others and how to respect them, and just how does a friendship work, the give and take when it comes to relationships and friendships and the way that you treat others. This is really important to me. I want my girls to be able to have good, strong, flourishing relationships and friendships with people. How to make good decisions. We try to have teaching moments with all of our kids that, they're at different ages, and those teaching moments and those principles that we teach them is different for every kid, based upon, where they are in life. But we, want to teach them to make good decisions. One of the good decisions is, hey, reading your Bible, taking time to pray, attending church, serving at church, not just attending, but being part of the community of the local church and serving, helping in kids ministry or the media or youth or wherever it is. We don't want you just attending. We want you serving and being a part and being invested in what the church is doing. And so these are spiritual principles that we want to teach our kids. And so that's just part of having a spiritual life at home. Number 8 is schedule a date night. If you have a spouse, you need to schedule a date night. Now, it might be different, might be, once a month. I remember when we were, young youth pastors and at a church, we didn't make a lot of money, so we, budgeted and scheduled a once a month date night where we could go out to, somewhat of a nice restaurant and have a nice meal together and afford to pay a babysitter at the same time because our kids were younger. Now, thank goodness, my oldest is 13, so, she's able to watch the younger two for us. But when we were younger, we had to also pay a babysitter, and so we budgeted that, but it was important to schedule those date nights, but not just with a spouse, schedule those alone times with those individual children if you have kids. Time alone is critical ingredient here. It doesn't matter where, and whether it's out to dinner, whether it's a walk, coffee, you could, whatever it is, it's more of that alone time with you than it is what you're doing. And so, if your budget's tight, go to coffee at Starbucks or Dunkin' or just go for a walk and just to get alone. But it is so important for the strength of your family, for husband and wife to have a strong relationship, and time alone is needed for that. And so your health of your marriage is really, and how you parent is really going to flow out of the strength of your relationship with your spouse. Believe it or not, how you parent and how you discipline, how you teach your kids, how you overall parent your kids is going to flow out of the strength of your marriage. And you need to have a strong marriage to effectively, parent your kids well. And so, this will significantly help the confidence and self-esteem of your kids when you have strong marriage. Okay, you have a strong relationship with your husband, with your wife, and when you do, it will really help your kids. It gives them a different kind of strength or confidence. They sense, they know the type of relationship that you have with your spouse, whether you realize it or not, whether you don't have to sit down and tell them, hey, they feel the mood, they know. And if you're going to lead your family well, you need to have a great relationship with your spouse. If you travel, or when you're traveling, you need to make a good effort in communicating with your family. And this is one that I did extremely poor job of early on. I would go to a conference, and it was just like I just got lost in where I was, what I was doing, and I would, call my wife for a couple days and, or, maybe not a couple days, but didn't call her that night, or, forget, or got busy. And I did a really bad job at it. And we would end up with fights on the phone, and it just all could have been avoided if I had set alarm clock, set the time. Conferences are busy, you're going in and out, eating, presentations and all these things, and it usually go from 1 to 1 to 1, and you get to your hotel room and you just fall in the bed and you go to sleep. And so I had to, early on, I messed this up, but the past couple of years, I came to my senses and you know what, I need to, if I'm traveling and to be away from my family, I need to, make sure that I'm communicating with my wife, with my kids, that they're, being able to talk to me and, see me on FaceTime, and just a few minutes, doesn't take long, like 5, 6, 7, 10 minutes, and it really goes a long way. Number 10 is, and lastly, take a day off. You need a day off. If you feel like you have too much to do, that it's impossible to take a day off, you need to make some changes. You need to meet with your manager, your supervisor, and ask him for some help. Hey, how this is my workload. I need you to understand. I'm having to come in nights or my days off, and how can we minimize this workload to really manage it better? And like I said, I'm not talking about just seasons where a week or two project, something's due and you got to put in some extra hours. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about every single day, every single week, every single month that you're finding yourself not having a day off. It's going to wear on you, and therefore it's going to wear on your family, because not only are you going to be stressed, you're not going to be spending time with them, but you're going to come home and be stressed. And I know when I'm stressed, I have a short temper, and just nothing happens well or good when I am stressed and I'm at work all day every day. And so, like I said, there's seasons. I'm not talking about a week or two, but months of prolonged no day off is really going to impact your ability to lead your family. And your family, leading your family is one of the most important things that you will do on this earth. Okay? It is the greatest potential impact that you have on someone's life, is leading your family well. Okay, well, I'm excited for next week. We are going to specifically talk about leading your kids. All right, I'll see you next week.